Today we're going to talk about the 9 things that I despise about living in Breckenridge. So let's get right into it. Number 1 thing that I hate is the cost of living. It's freaking expensive out here, man. And we got real lucky. My fiance and I, we bought a condo back in 2017, ski in, ski out, right in Breckenridge for $360,000. And we rent it out on Airbnb, and it does very well. So we're lucky that our bills are paid with that condo as well as our other rental condo over in Keystone. But without that, it would be definitely tougher to live out here. I do pretty well in my real estate business, but just the cost of living with everything. So, think about the average home, right? $1.2 million for the average home. And then you think about all the activities there are to do out here. You've got skiing, hiking, biking, snowmobiling, fishing, rafting. So many different things, right? So let's look at skiing, for example. The average ski pass is going to be $800 to $1,400. A ski setup is going to cost you $1,000, $2,000. And then things like biking, a nice bike's going to cost you a couple grand. If you want to go rafting, that's going to cost you hundreds of dollars to rent or get a guide. Or if you want to buy your own raft, it's going to cost you tens of thousands of dollars. Then you've got cost of insurance, right? We're high-risk individuals to health insurance companies out here because we're adrenaline junkies. We love to go outside and do stuff. So insurance companies are like, these people are going to hurt themselves, without a doubt. So our insurance premiums are super expensive. The average meal is going to be $20 to $30. So, you culminate all these things together, and you need about $90,000 to $100,000 a year to live relatively comfortably here. And that's assuming that you're just renting a place. It gives you enough days off that you can enjoy the lifestyle out here, and probably not buying a place making 6 figures, unfortunately. A lot of these condos that are in the low $500,000 to $600,000 don't qualify for those FHA style type of loans. So yeah, you're gonna need well above 6 figures to own a home here and to live comfortably. And that's one of the things I just hate about it. It's expensive. Now, speaking about the cost of living, if you guys have any questions about what it's like to live here, and if you're curious about the real estate and the opportunities to invest or to buy a second home / vacation home out here, I'm happy to help you. Call this number on the screen right here, and you're gonna talk to me, or text me if you don't feel like calling, and we can set up a time to talk later on in the future. But I'm happy to help answer any questions that you guys have about living here in Breckenridge and Summit County, Colorado. All right, the second thing that I hate about Breck is the tourism. The tourism sucks sometimes, to be completely honest. Now, the caveat there is, yes, they do feed our economy, and I'm very grateful for that, because without the tourists, there probably wouldn't be much out here besides mining, and that's pretty much it, right? Like, tourism is everything out here. Feeds the real estate, feeds the construction workers, feeds the hospitality workers, feeds the ski resorts. So tourism is essential to our economy. But holy hell, does it get freaking annoying. Right now, we're actually in March as I'm filming this video, and the tourists out there are freaking nuts, man. I don't know what happens out here to tourists when they're on spring break, but I take it that they do well for themselves, because if they're spending the money to come and vacation here, they're obviously making good money, and they're obviously pretty smart individuals, you would think. But for some reason, when they come on spring break and the snow starts falling down, I swear to God, everybody out here loses like 30 IQ points, and they don't know how to drive, they don't know how to interact with other humans, they don't know how to treat people with respect. There's all these different things. They just become a nuisance. So yes, I love them and I hate them at the same time, because there's just all this crap that goes along with being tourists. I'm constantly getting cut off when I'm driving, and to me, I'm just like, whatever, these people are on vacation. I'll just let them be. That's totally okay. And again, they do feed our economy. So yeah, tourism, it sucks sometimes. Things like going out for dinner, especially in spring break, plan to call ahead, get a reservation, because you're gonna be waiting at practically every restaurant, because we don't have a ton of them here in Summit County, and we've got 50 to 60,000 people in the county at one time. Yeah, restaurants are gonna get packed. So these are just all different things about tourism, that it can be a nuisance if you live here full time, and something you gotta know. Actually, a funny story on tourism. And I knew this person was a tourist when we were at our favorite restaurant, Pho Bay in Silverthorne. Great Vietnamese food if you want to go check that out. But this girl walked in and we were sitting online for, I don't know, maybe 45 seconds or something like that. And she looked at us and was like, oh man, like I can't believe that nobody's come up to us to tell us that we have to wait or that they're gonna serve us soon. Or, I mean, it's been almost a couple minutes. I mean, it was really like 45 seconds. And you could just tell like the impatience coming from this person. It's like, tell me you're not from here without telling me you're not from here. You just gotta be patient when the tourists are around. So like, yeah, I hate the attitude sometimes that comes with tourists that, they live in the city, so they expect things to be quick and tidy and ready to go. Where you come out here, and I've said it before, we're kind of on island time out here, so don't expect things to go super quick. And if you're a tourist, just show respect for our local workers out here, because when tourist season is heavy, they're busy as hell, they're working 12, 15 hours a day, and just cut them a break, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, tourists, go figure. All right, number 3 thing is going to be parking out here, and this kind of goes hand in hand with tourism. The parking out here can be a total pain in the ass. You've heard it from my locals out here in Breckenridge. I've had the experience many times. The biggest thing for me is I've got an employee parking spot over in Breckenridge because my office is on Main Street, and so we have an employee lot. We've got a couple of employee lots all around the town that are specifically for employees with a parking permit. And in spring break and busy seasons, holiday weekends, tourists just don't know any better. And then also the lots aren't very clearly marked, especially when there's piles of snow everywhere. Again, tourists, they just lose 30 IQ points for whatever reason. So they just don't know where to park. And when they find an open spot, they're just going for it. They don't read any of the signs saying that this is employee parking only. So when I go to work and I end up being late, it's because I can't find a freaking parking spot in my one lot that, it's generally where I park. Then I have to go to the other lot that's a couple blocks up and deal with all the traffic to get there. And then that lot's full, and I go to this other lot, and then I end up just doing circles for 20 minutes just trying to find a parking spot. And you'll hear the same story from locals over and over again. And parking is just a pain in the ass. But again, it's the tourists that feed our economy, so a little bit of give and take there. All right, number 4 thing is the winter. I know, the winter. Wait, didn't you move there for the winter? Yes, I did, but on average we get 7 months of it. So when it starts snowing in like September, October, and then sometimes it doesn't stop till April, May, and for the last 3 years we've been getting a snowstorm in the beginning of June for some reason. Once May's around, I'm like, stop. Just want some warm weather. You know what I mean? So, if you're gonna move here, just expect long winters. And I said in many videos before, the winter's great. We've got the best skiing, snowmobiling is awesome, snowshoeing, hiking, dogs love the snow. There's so many great things about it, but it can kind of drag on you. So, once mud season comes around, April, May, and it's snowing on and off and the weather isn't that great, my fiance and I just skip town. We go on vacation somewhere and just get out of it because, winters can be super long here and something you have to know. All right, the 5th thing that I hate about Colorado is the wildfires. So we have a pretty dry climate here in Colorado. Technically, here in Breck and Summit County, we are a high alpine desert, meaning that it is, again, a dry climate with not a ton of vegetation. We do have, a lot of pine trees, but it is still very dry and we don't get a ton of moisture in the summertime. Most of our moisture comes from the snow in the winter. So in the summertime, when all the snow melts, all of the downed trees in the forest are perfect kindling for a fire, and they're easily started because it's so dry. It can happen through a camping fire. It can happen through pretty much any means. A lot of people will come here and smoke cigarettes, whether they're in their car and maybe they're used to just tossing the cigarette out the window where they're from. Don't do that shit. If you do it here, you could actually start a fire. One of the craziest fires that happened a few years back was the Glenwood Canyon fire, specifically from somebody who threw their cigarette butt out the window, and the entire canyon was on fire in a matter of minutes, and it caused a huge disruption to the economy and the traffic there. So just don't do it. We've actually had a personal experience with it when we bought our home that I'm currently filming in right now back in 2021. We were so enveloped with the projects that were going on that we didn't do much camping or any outdoor activities. Well, we did hikes and stuff, but really didn't get out of the house to go live in the woods camping wise. So, you know, we were in love with the house. It's really everything that we wanted, and we decided, you know what, end of summer, we haven't done any camping, we should go camp, get away from all the stuff. All the projects that we wanted to get done are done. So we did. We took a 3-hour drive south towards Palisade, did some great camping, had no cell service, super relaxing. And then sure enough, as soon as we got back to service the next morning, our phones were blowing up that there was a wildfire in our backyard on Ptarmigan Mountain. And that's when we were freaking out because they had actually evacuated the road just above our road, meaning that the fire was getting very close to encroaching on the neighborhood. Surely if the fire had reached the neighborhood, the house would have burned down, the entire neighborhood likely would have burned down. Luckily though, the weather was on our side that weekend, and it was snowing, it was raining, it was cold enough that the fire wasn't able to spread, which was really nice. Plus our fire crews did a great job. So yeah, wildfires here are certainly something you got to be aware of, especially in wilderness areas where forest mitigation is technically not allowed to occur. You've got tons of downed trees all over the place. And if a wildfire starts and the winds pick up, there's a very good chance you're not going to outrun that fire. So something you have to be aware of, and just check the fire reports for that day. Fire danger is very high. Don't, you know, smoke whatever you like to smoke, whether it's weed or cigarettes. Don't have campfires. Don't do anything that's going to cause a fire to happen in the forest, because it can pick up super quick and it can get very dangerous very fast. All right, number 6, and this is probably more specific to younger people, I would say younger millennials and maybe Gen Zers, is that it is tough to make friends out here as a driven entrepreneur, right? I'm 28 years old, I own my own business. A lot of my days I am working, and it's just harder to find other kids who have that same kind of mentality. A lot of people who move here who are generally my age are just coming to escape life. They're living that ski bum lifestyle, and I did it. It was great. It's awesome. I made friends that way, but trying to be a young, driven entrepreneur, it can get a little lonely sometimes. On the flip side of that, I do have a lot of friends who are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s that I hang out with pretty consistently, because I guess we're on the same mental wavelength in terms of like owning our own business and wanting to be outside and be involved in the community. Things like Rotary Club, other volunteer organizations like FDRD. But yeah, so a lot of my friends that I have are actually much older folk who are either retired, involved in the community, or people that I go mountain biking, hiking, skiing with, and not a ton of friends that are younger. Ironically enough, a lot of my younger friends are actually other realtors in the area because they're also young and driven. So it is a little bit tougher. I'd say, you know, more for a younger guy or gal to make friends. If you're older though, 40s, 50s, 60s, you're gonna find your community here all day, every day, and you got nothing to worry about there. Get involved with the local community, go to the recreation center. Pickleball is huge now. So many different events, sports, things to get into, easy to make friends. But definitely something that I myself, as a younger, more driven person, it's just hard to make those friendships. Okay, number 7, and this is another one that kind of forced me to get into real estate. 1, because real estate was lucrative, but 2, because there's just no industry here in Summit County. Unless you're in real estate, construction, or hospitality, or maybe you work at Climax Molybdenum Mine for that, you know, the big mining company, then there's just really not a lot of industry here to be had. We don't have tech jobs, no big industrial spaces, nothing like Amazon or things of that nature, no big commercial businesses, no Fortune 500 companies. Pretty much nothing like that exists. Basically, if you're working here, as I mentioned before, real estate, construction, hospitality, or you're working remote, and this is kind of just where you can live that lifestyle where you can work from your computer a couple hours in the morning and go skiing in the afternoon, or vice versa. So yeah, it sucks. If you're looking to make it out here as a young professional, just don't expect there to be industry. You're likely gonna have to start your own business or work under somebody who's had a successful business and kind of apprentice under them for a little bit of time. And it's kind of the reason, I was pigeonholed into real estate, which I ended up loving. I do love selling real estate out here, so it's great. But other than that, it's just not a lot of opportunity for other widely known industries throughout the country. All right, the number 8 thing that I hate about here is avalanche danger, and not just on the ski resort, but everywhere. Avalanches, yes, they do happen on the ski resort, but they happen all over. As you get more into the outdoor lifestyle out here, you'll find that you're gonna go backcountry skiing, snowmobiling, hiking out in the backcountry, and you'll come up on these steep slopes. And if they're wind loaded or if the conditions are just right, an avalanche can trigger. And there has been tons of stories, it happens every year, people getting buried in avalanches, even people who are avalanche pros. They've got their level 3 avalanche certification or whatever that is, and they know what it is. You know, they know about avalanches. They're professionals, they've done it before, they know how to test conditions, look at the snow, look at reports, but it doesn't matter, man. Avalanches can happen literally at any time, and even when you're driving. So we've got the 10-mile canyon here in Summit County that takes you to Copper, and this canyon is notorious for having slides, especially when we get tons of snow. Very steep canyon with steep wind-loaded slopes, so they will slide, and if you end up being stuck in that, it could be very, very dangerous. We had one instance right just east of the tunnel on I-70 actually, where I forget what the name of the mountain is, but it was in the 2019 season. We had gotten a ton of snow, and an avalanche crossed the highway, and there was 8 feet of snow on the west or the eastbound lane and 15 feet of snow on the westbound lane, and people were buried in that avalanche in their cars, and people had to wait for emergency crews to come and rescue them. So avalanche danger is prevalent all throughout the Rocky Mountains, not just on the ski resort, not just backcountry skiing, but even on the highways as you're driving. So again, check avalanche reports. If the Colorado Department of Transportation is telling you don't travel, listen to them, because they know what they're talking about and they've seen these things happen before. And avalanche danger, oh God, you do not want to get stuck in an avalanche, man, or get caught in one. Gosh, that to me is just the scariest thing. So it's definitely something I hate about living here. All right, the final thing that I hate about here is mud season. Now, mud season occurs, generally speaking, about mid-April to the end of May, and again about end of October into early December. And this is generally the time where the weather isn't on our side, so that means not enough snow for the ski resorts to be open, but it's still sporadically snowing enough, and the temperature hovers around the 50s, 40 degrees. So it's cold, it's gloomy, the ski resorts aren't open, there's still snow on the ground, so the hiking trails aren't open, and there's generally just not a lot to do in terms of outdoor activities. Ironically enough, a lot of locals love it because that means the tourists aren't here, so they kind of get Summit County to themselves. But it, you know, as I said before, it is mud season. So if you try to go out hiking on the trails, you will encounter a fair bit of mud. Usually you don't want to be out on those trails anyway, because as the snow is melting, that dirt trail that's usually nice and smooth in the summertime will become muddy, and you're stepping on it or riding your bike on it will deform the trail and make it a nuisance for everybody else in the summertime. So it's not recommended to hike on those trails. And then again, the ski resorts, they're not open, so you're not really skiing. The snowmobiling's not that great because there's all these rocks and trees and things that can damage your sled. So mud season for us is just the time to kind of recollect for the year. Real estate isn't even that busy, really, so we just get out of town. We go somewhere tropical, get into the warm weather, get out of the snow, get out of the winter and the cold. And so mud season is just not my favorite. It's not a lot of locals' favorites out here, and you'll find that it is generally more quiet than the rest of the year. Locals skip town, tourists aren't in town, but if you do like that quiet time, those are going to be the quietest times of the year for you to kind of have Summit County all to yourself. Okay, that's the list. Those are the things that I absolutely hate about Summit County. Now, all of those things being said, it is still the best place to live. I would live here 10 times out of 10 if the choice came down to it. And again, if you have any questions about living here or buying a home here for you and the family, call this number right on the screen. This is my personal cell, or you can text me and we can set up a time to talk for the future. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see you next week.